Well, hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you. I got a great thought for you today. And the question that I always like to start with is really going to make you think. And so it's around goals. And the interesting thing is, you probably have a sales goal as you individually or as a company. You probably have a performance goal, profit goals. You have these goals that you lay out. My question to you today is, do you have an online goal? And it took me all of 2 seconds to say, no. So I'm like, oh my gosh, who asked me that question? So I found it, found the guy. He's hanging out down in Mexico. So I'm honored to be hanging out with Jack Christensen. How are you today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm excited to jump into this because I don't have an online goal. Okay. Now, you are CEO and founder of True Zenith Creative. So tell us, what is True Zenith Creative? I can't say that 5 times fast, that's for sure. What do you got
No.
going on out there?
Well, so let me first define the word zenith. Zenith, if you look it up in the dictionary, it's the pinnacle or the peak. So what we do at True Zenith Creative is we bring businesses to their zenith, to their peak, to their most powerful.
Sure. Okay.
And we do that through a few different things. So we're a full service advertising agency. So we can do everything from video ad creation to application and software development. But everything we do is very custom, and it's based on the specific business that we're working with needs. And we really don't target small businesses. We are more working with medium to corporate stuff, enterprise stuff.
Okay. Gotcha.
But that's what we do. And we focus specifically in this day and age. I'll be honest with you, the arbitrage in marketing, it's all online. Really, billboards and stuff. You'll get billboard people try to sell you, and they're just, you can't track it. Like with everything online, I can track every single mouse click on your website, and
Sure.
or my team can, and we can figure out exactly the correct things to do to make sure your advertising dollar goes the farthest.
Wow, that's cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for jumping on today. And thanks for hitting me like right between the eyes, like right off the bat, because I'm like, what is this online goal stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
I have a presence. Is that a goal? No. I want to
Goal
make
has to be measured, right?
how much is that? Is that a goal? No. So I'm like, crap, this isn't going to end well for Dave. So I'm again, bunch of people listening right now all around the world. And the concept here is to actually, if I'm understanding you right, Jack, you're suggesting that we have an online goal, but no one's
Yeah.
ever told us that before. So fill us in on what that looks like from your side.
Well, from my side, let's take online out for a second, and we'll bring it back in. But everyone, if you're in business speaking, or actually in just general life, I'm a big believer in goals, right? And what is a goal? A goal is what differentiates between a goal and a dream. A dream is just something out there that, yeah, someday I'd like to achieve it. A goal, it can be measured, right? So if you're talking about an online goal, it could be online sales, in which case you're measuring revenue, right? And it also has a time frame. So you would say, if you had an online goal for sales, you would say, my goal is to make $200,000 in the course of the next 30 days. Now that becomes an actual online goal. So it
Okay.
could be, maybe you want to, for your podcast, maybe it's not revenue, maybe it's a viewership goal. Maybe you want to get whatever it is, 50,000 views in the next 20 days.
Sure.
It's something that is taking place online and then has a measured result in a specific time frame.
So the measuring thing, I think, is where I get messed up because it's so, and again, I'm a novice at this. So I'm just, probably where most of the business owners are, entrepreneurs listening, that we know what, if we had to do a deep dive on what online or social media is, we probably would fail at that unless it was a multiple choice test, then we might squeak by. But, how do we measure? What am I trying to measure? There's so many questions. I don't even know where to start with this thing, Jack. So I'm going to start with as simple as possible. So let's just say I have an online presence. I have a website. I have a LinkedIn profile. And outside of that, I really I have the hope and pray strategy that I hope the right person sees it. And I pray that they'll respond. I mean,
Are
I'm
you doing any
not the
paid
strongest
marketing?
way. Say that again.
Are you doing any paid advertising? Like, are you doing Google ads or anything
No,
like that? Okay.
no. So,
So,
so where do I start for the guys or girls listening that even don't do paid advertising? They just kind of put it out there and hope and pray somebody finds it. Is that a bad place for us to start, I guess?
yes, I mean, think about it. Would you ever start a business and just hope and pray it works? No,
Yeah.
right? Like that's not, that would be a very bad model to
Quit
follow. None
answer.
of
Hey,
those
quit
systems.
asking questions that make sense, Jack. Okay, come on. That's not what this
I'm sorry.
podcast is
I'll try,
about.
I'll try to do better. I'm so sorry.
No, no, that's all. I'm just kidding. Obviously, I think that that's a really powerful thing, right? You open a business, and very few people just think that they're going to put a shingle up, unlock the front door, and people are just going to come in droves, right? But yet in social media, we kind of have that same thought process, right?
Well, some of you people do, but
Yep.
the people who really succeed in social media, are people that have an actual marketing plan for their social media accounts to grow, right?
Gotcha.
So, I think that you have to have a plan in whatever you're doing. If you want to be good or one of the best at what you do, it's not just going to be fly by the seat of your pants. You have to have a plan, and then you have to execute on that plan.
Okay.
And
So,
so
yeah, go ahead.
So speaking for a website, the first thing you would do is install a Google Analytics Pixel. And then if you're also running ads on Facebook, you would install a Facebook Analytics Pixel and any other places that you're getting people sent from. So like if you have a link on your Facebook to your website, you want to have a Facebook Pixel. If you have it from Instagram, same thing. Like, well, Instagram and Facebook are the same. It's a Meta Pixel now, but you want to be tracking from any source that it's coming from. And then once they're on the page, you want to be tracking where they're clicking off, how much time are they spending on the page, all that kind of stuff, which you can do with Google Tags Manager and Google Analytics.
Okay. So are there some common goals that we as novices should have just kind of out of the gate, that I want to increase my viewership by 10% or something? I mean,
there's some general goals, but it's based on industry, right? So like an e-commerce goal is going to be different than like what just say an auto body shop's goal is, right?
Sure.
So an e-commerce goal is going to actually be a conversion of a sale, right? Where an auto body shop might be to get them to pick up the phone and call, or it might be lead generate, like a roofing contractor would be a lead generation. So they get the email, phone number, and name so that one of their sales guys can call them and sell them new roofing. But the main thing for all of that, it takes views. So one of the main goals you should be looking at is how many people are visiting the site, and is that on an upward trajectory. But the other thing is you want to look at bounce rate. So if you're on an upward trajectory, but it's a bunch of bots, meaning your bounce rate is high, meaning someone just goes to the website and clicks away right away. If that's really high, and even if your viewership's really high, the actual people who are spending time on the page is next to nothing. It's irrelevant. You want people who are actually spending a minimum of 5 seconds on your page. And ideally, like True Zenith Creative, our metrics right now we're getting an average viewership. Last month we did 2 minutes and 6 or 2 minutes and 7 seconds per viewer. That was like, if you went to our website, the average person spent about 2 minutes on our website.
Wow. So obviously you're able to track that now. And I'm assuming 5 seconds doesn't give us really much. I mean,
no, but it tells us enough, because it's no longer a bounce, right? So okay. Google doesn't use bounce; it views it as a unique visitor, and it's not bounced. And so if you're averaging 5 seconds, that's really bad, because it means you're not doing anything to grab their attention. It means you're not giving them any reason to stay on your page.
So does that mean that the front page has to have a pretty powerful message, call to action,
every page should have call to actions, right? Like, so one of the main things that websites don't have is their CTA, call to actions, right? And so what you want to think about when you're building a website, or if you have an agency, if you hire us to build a website for you, we're going to go through all this for you. So it takes your work out of it. But if you're going to build your website yourself, you need to be focused on what is your goal with the website. Like, a lot of business owners just think they need a website just because it's the thing to do, right? And that's a little bit true, but if a website is well built, I've had a bunch of small business owners that have come to us and like bit the bullet and paid our minimum price for a website is $4,500 and goes all the way up to over 50 grand for very custom stuff. And bit the bullet and paid the $4,500 to us. And they're like, well, before my website did nothing. I never got leads. I never got anything. And it's because some kid from Fiverr did it for $200, right? And so, it's not done with optimization and call to action. Like it's not done with a goal. So when we build a website, business owners don't really care if it looks good. While our websites do look good, there's an actual purpose behind it, right? And so the purpose is whatever that business owner is. And so that conversation would look like if you, Dave, let's say you ran a roofing company. So I'd be like, Dave, what is your goal with the website? Like what would help your business? You might say, well, getting more leads so we can get more sales. Okay, so then everything in that website is going to be funneled down to try to get them to fill out a form that gives you a lead so you can call them and sell them.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. Wow. So there's a really good takeaway right there. And I don't want to go past that. I want to make sure that everybody listening, excuse me, caught on to that, is that if you don't have a call to action on every page, you're missing an opportunity. So that's really something I think for all of us, we can, after this podcast, we can jump on our website and we can see, does every page have some kind of call to action? And call to action means like, call me. What they have to do something.
Could be call it. Yeah, it could fill out the form so we can call you. It could be a button that's call now, send email, buy. If it's a physical product, buy now. Whatever it is that you as a business owner are trying to get the people who come to your website to do.
Okay, perfect. So please, if you get nothing else out of this, at least that's a great place to start. So one of the goals that I wrote down was increase or get leads. So if somebody, and because I think you bring up a great point on that, Jack, is a lot of us, we put a website on just because that's what we have to do. And we never really take it to that next level where, why is that website not working for me? Why is the phone not ringing? And it's, I must have done something wrong. Go ahead.
Right. And there's two ways to drive traffic. And ultimately, so if you drive traffic and your website's not optimized for call to actions and conversions, you could have 1 million visitors, but if 0% convert, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So step one is making sure your website, when people visit, will convert, right? But step two is actually getting those people to visit your website. And so there's a few ways you can do this. You can do it through paid ads, which is the fastest way, not the cheapest, but the fastest. Sure. And as soon as you stop paying, people will stop coming to your website. So that would be running Facebook ad, Google ads, influencer advertising. There's a million different ways you can pay, but basically you're paying for each person that comes to your visit in one way or the other. The downside, the plus side of that is you can start getting leads or sales immediately, right? The downside to that, as soon as you stop doing advertising spend, you stop getting sales or leads. And the other problem is the cost of acquisition for that. As you start putting more and more money and people see your ads more and more, they become less effective and your cost per acquisition goes up over time. We're talking a couple of years, and Sure. It can still be very lucrative. And it's something everyone should still do. It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the downside. The positive is you can get sales tomorrow. The downside is that over time, your cost per acquisition goes up. Right?
Gotcha.
So what you should be doing simultaneously is driving organic traffic, which is SEO. So SEO, as far as like our agency cost, it's the same. We charge the same for our SEO packages as we do for our digital marketing. The difference with SEO is you don't pay anything else besides the SEO cost. With digital marketing, you still have to pay our management fee, plus then you pay whatever we're running towards Facebook and Google ads, right? So you have to pay our fee plus the actual advertising cost to the advertiser. With SEO, the benefit is SEO is search engine optimization, and it's by far the most underutilized and best way to make money online and for your business through your website. The reason most people don't do it is because it costs a lot up front, because for the first 6 months, you're going to be paying us our fee, which starts at $2,500 and goes all the way up to $7,500 a month. And that's actually on the low end of high-end agencies like ours.
Sure.
There's agencies out there charging $20,000 a month for it. But what it is in Google's eyes, which is the main search engine, it's making Google believe that you're an authority. So again, if you're a roofer and say, you said you're in Wisconsin, right? Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. So right. we would start writing blog posts, and we would start building backlinks, and we would start making your website an authority to all of the keywords surrounding roofers in Milwaukee, or roof repair, or roof cleaning, all of the different things that you might do, sure. 200 different keywords. We're going to start building you as an authority. So now 6 months, a year after we've been doing this, now you could stop paying us. or go drop down to our lowest package just to maintain, right?
Okay.
But people now are still going to be coming to your website and you're not paying anything. And now you're getting traffic for the rest of the life of the business.
Okay.
So it's an upfront investment. You're not going to get sales tomorrow. And if your website is established, you could start seeing results from SEO in 3 months. If it's a brand new domain, it's going to take 6 months to a year before Google will recommend.
Gotcha.
And the hardest part and the most time consuming part is building backlinks. And that's why SEO costs so much. So what a backlink is when one of the things we'll do, like we'll get one of our clients, we'll get them featured in Forbes, for example. And at the bottom of the article, it links back to their original website. And so now Google will Forbes.com. That's a really powerful and trusted site. If they're recommending me go to this site, it makes this site more trustworthy in the eyes of Google and will rank you higher.
So I want to go back to some numbers that you said, because I know they were facetious, but I think I don't want to set you up for this, but I'm going to. I'm thinking 1 million views with 0 converts is like really good for the ego, but 1 view to 1 and equals 1 convert is way better for the pocketbook, correct?
100%.
Yeah. So why are we so dialed in then, Jack, on this 1 million views? Why do we just make the assumption the more views, the more people are going to buy?
Well, so when I say, okay, so here's the thing. It's never going to be 0% unless your page says, haha, I've got nothing, F you, right? Like you're going to get something, even if you have a terrible website. If you get 1 million views, you're going to get something, but it's like a lot of people's websites convert at like 0.002%.
Yeah.
Low,
exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And a really good converting website is 5 or 6%. So like if you're gonna pay to get 1 million views, you probably would want to spend the 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand for a really well-designed website and optimized website for conversion. Because if you're 5% of 1 million is what, 50,000?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Yeah. 50,000. So you could get 50,000 conversion, or you could get 0.5%, which is what, 500 or something like that.
Yeah. 2,000.
500 conversion. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, no, 2,000 would be 2% of 1 million, right?
1% of 1 million, 1,000. Yeah. So
So it'd be 500. Yeah. 0.5%. So it'd be 500. You could get 500 conversions and you pay. So let's say you're going to get 1 million views, you might spend 50 grand. And for that 50 grand, you can get 500. It depends on what you're advertising, right? But you could get 500 conversions, or you could get 50,000 conversions, all based on if you have a high converting website or not.
So it's really, and I'm hearing it again, and I want to make sure everyone's hearing the same thing I'm hearing. Conversions are way more important than views, correct?
100%. Yep.
That's so a goal could be to get X number or X percentage of conversions. You also said that, go ahead. Yep, go ahead. So
there is a caveat to this. You can't really know your conversions if you're only getting like 20 views. You have to be at some level of viewership to know that there's enough data to show what your true conversion rate is. And so both are important. And in the beginning, conversion is more important. Once you know you've got it converted, like your website is converting, as soon as you know that, that's when you start putting the big dollars into ad spend, because you don't want to put a bunch of money into ad spend and be leaving money on the table by having a low conversion rate. So at first, you're only putting enough money in to make sure you're getting the correct data and you're doing A/B split testing. Once you know your website is converting really well, then you put the money, and now more important is the overall views, because now you know for every 100 visitors, I'm going to get 5 sales, right? Or whatever it is for in your case, right? So as soon as you know, then you know every dollar I spend, I'm going to get this many dollars back. It seems like does there come a point in this, Jack, where it's that reliable that I know for every $100 I give you, I'm going to get X back in return? Yeah. So our average client, we're sitting at about a 6.5% ROAS, which is return on ad spend. So for every dollar, you get $6.50 back. Our average client. Some clients are more, some clients are less. Wow. Why would everybody be jumping on that? Like, we don't do it for everyone, because we can't. We do a return on ad spend guarantee where if you don't make a positive ROAS, you will get our feedback. And so we don't work with everyone. If we think your product is shite, we're not going to work with you, because we're just gonna have to give you your money back. Gotcha, and so you can't. Not everyone is able to convert, and also because it requires quite a bit of, in order to do what we're talking about, it's going to be a minimum of 10 grand and likely 20 grand to really to get this all done correctly. And a lot of people just don't want to, either don't want to or don't have the money to spend.
Sure. Wow. The other thing you mentioned, which I want to make sure I got, was I wrote down that it sounded like it was more profitable to get organic leads. Are those more beneficial than paid
Yes.
leads?
Well, the lead themselves isn't more beneficial. What's more beneficial about it is it becomes more exponential, because now you're getting views and people to your page and you're not spending any money. Where when you're doing ad spend, it's I'm going to spend this and this many people are going to come view. Once you get SEO, over time, it continues to grow, but it grows exponentially. So if you get really good at SEO and your site starts getting, let's say you could get 1 million viewers and the from your website from Google, and Google might value that at say 100 grand, which I think would be about right. If you view no less than that, 50 grand. And so you could either pay 50 grand to get those people to come, or you could get it for free.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is maybe it's still profitable to do 50 grand. And maybe if you only want it, if you were doing a short run of something, it makes sense. But for most businesses that are thinking in terms of 5, 10, 15 years, after about the second or third million, you'd rather just have to not pay for it and have it always come.
Sure. But I mean, my gosh, that's 6.5x.
But that decreases over time.
Yeah.
Right. Remember what I said originally is as we push ads to your target market, and the smaller the overall market cap is in whatever industry you're in, the faster that happens. So if you're in a massive market, it's a little paid. That's why like paid ads for clothing makes sense, because it's such a massive market. But if you're talking about roofing in a small area, you're going to oversaturate the market really quickly with ads.
Gotcha. Cool.
And then we're no longer going to get that 6.5% return or 6.5x return.
Okay. Wow. This is crazy how cool this is. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for sharing all this, man. My head is spinning right now here, Jack. I'm trying to figure out how much money can I give you, and then you'll give me 6.5x. So I'm like, how big is your bank account? How big can you go? So, we have clients spending over 50 grand a month with on ads, not with us, but to Facebook and stuff. Sure. Wow. Is there and that was a question that I had. Is there kind of a formula of how much? I mean, how do we know how much to spend in Facebook or how much to spend in Instagram or all these?
That's the first month to 2 months is all just research. So it very much depends on the industry and the client. Certain things are better. So here's the big difference between, I'll give you the 30,000 foot view. The big difference between Facebook and Google, or Instagram, Facebook, all of those all rely on pay per impression. And Google is pay per click, PPC versus PPI. And the difference is every time someone scrolls past your ad on Facebook, you're going to pay Facebook, right? The cost is much lower. And the annoying part about it is it's less exact. With Google, you're only paying if they visit your website. So that's what I love about PPC. The thing is so for general branding purposes, if you just want to get your name of a business out there, Facebook is better. If you're selling something very specific and it's something people are going to type into Google and search for, then Google is better, because now for every $10 I get one lead, right? Or one person to visit my website. And I know for every 100 views to my website, I'm going to get 5 conversions. So that means in order to get 100 views, 100 times 10 is 1,000. So that means I have to spend $1,000 on Google and I'll get 5 sales. And each sale is worth 5 grand. Well, you can do the math, right? 5 grand, that'd be 25 grand. You're spending $1 grand, which is very doable. That's what we run at on our Facebook ads, or on our Google ads. Yeah. Because our average minimum website sale is 4,500, and so you're talking about 2,400 in profit, top line, not net, right? Because then you have to pay employees, and if you're in physical, you have to pay for goods and all that other stuff. But yeah. So is the B2B, because most people listening right now, Jack, are in the B2B space, does that versus the B2C? Even better. B2C, really? B2B for Google, that's what we do. We're all B2B, obviously, right? So we build, we work only with businesses. We don't do any consumer stuff. Right. So For Facebook, here's the thing. Facebook is really good for a lot of B2C stuff. So like if you are selling, I don't know, a cool knickknack or something, or you're doing drop shipping, or you're selling a physical product for the cost of $20 to $100, Facebook's the way to go. If
Okay.
you are doing B2B services, most business owners are going to Google and typing in what they're looking for. So like if you go and let's say you're a business owner and you're looking for lead generation. Let's say you go to Google and you type in lead generation Tampa, right? So whoever ranks on first in Google for that long tail keyword, lead generation Tampa or business or marketing agency Tampa or whatever it is, right? That's really valuable. And Google is much better for almost exclusively with our B2B clients, because our clients are both B2B and B2C. Almost exclusively our B2B clients, we only run Google ads for them.
Wow, that's crazy. If you kind of widen the lens a little bit, is there, from a marketing perspective, is online, I know you started off by saying that online's the most trackable. I mean,
it's also the best arbitrage. It's cheaper.
Okay.
It's cheaper per view. And then beyond that, so you get more views for your dollar and it's trackable. So you can know what's working and what's not working better, which means you can more effectively create content that will target your correct audience.
So like if somebody came to you and they said, Jack, I want to be on TV or radio, or like you said, the billboard, I mean, do you still find places for those? Because I don't want people on the call.
I always, so we do a mix. So we do traditional media, but I will always tell the client, almost always, there are very few cases where traditional media is better. One of the places that traditional media, actually to mixed media, is like solar. So we have a solar client and we do a little bit, but all their door knockers. So they have salespeople that are giving these door knockers we did, and they have a QR code. And so it's a mix because the people scan the QR code, so we can still track it. It takes them to a specific landing page that only people who do that. And now we can see what percentage of the ones handed out have people visiting the web page. And then once they get to the web page, what percent are filling out that lead form so a sales manager can call them back and get the sale, right? The only people that I see that really love traditional media are old school business owners that just really want to have a billboard. And what I tell them is like, listen, we've got media buyers. We can do that. We can get you a billboard anywhere in the US. I highly recommend you don't. I think your money is better spent, and I'll say this, or this, right? But you're the client. If that's what you want us to do, we're happy to do.
Gotcha. What do you think the life of a website is? I mean, if you got probably a bunch of people listening right now, Jack, that are, they may have a 3-year-old site, or it might be 5 years old.
3 years is okay. Five is about when I, if you had a professional agency built website that is conversion optimized, 5 years is good. The problem is a lot of people, they need websites immediately because they never had a good website.
Okay.
So, but about 5 years is when I see, like, if we do a website, and granted, my agency is not 5 years old, but once that 3, 4, and 5 years start rolling around, 3, I'll reach out to people and just see where they're at. After 5, I'm going to tell them, listen, you like the work we did last time. I promise you're going to get a jump in conversion again because the stuff is outdated now, and we're going to start reselling them.
So is it a whole new site, or is it just overhauling an existing, or how does that work?
Really depends. If it's our website, if it's one that was currently done by True Zenith, we could probably overhaul it. For most of our redesigns from where they did it themselves, it's just not done correctly at all. And so we're better off just scrapping it and starting again.
Wow. I love what you said. You said, and I think about this and I'm like, what kind of partner would this be if there was truly somebody that could do this, where you say, we help you sell, we help you grow, we help you succeed, and we help you expand. I mean, I think about those 4 words: selling, growing, succeeding, and expanding. There's like no downside to that. Obviously, there's a cost to it. But
so the downside is this, and the reason I started this agency. So I started as a freelance web developer. And the reason I started an agency is because I hear all the horror story. Almost every business owner has a horror story about working with a marketing agency or a developer or something like that. And so there's no accountability. And that's why all of my products have some sort of money back guarantee on them.
Sure.
And that's also the reason why every single one of my clients has my direct cell phone number. Because the main tenet I built this company on is being transparent and making sure that we do amazing work for every single one of our clients.
Wow. Well,
it's not to say there's been one really pissed off client like that. It does happen, but you hear, I mean, man, the number of people I talk to about where they've like hired just a sole proprietor web developer say he just took my money and ran off. I'm like, yeah, well, that's why he charged you $500 and we're charging you $5,000.
Right.
You know, now there's an actual LLC with employees and all the other stuff, right?
But I mean, a money back guarantee, like you said, my gosh. And again, I want to make sure there's a caveat that everything has to work out right. But the reality is that I've never heard that before.
No one does it. We're the only one in the industry.
So
that's why we're growing.
That's the cool part about it. If you're listening today and you're on the fence about what your next step should be, maybe you have an old website, maybe you're, doing only your LinkedIn or Facebook ads once a quarter. I love seeing something that hasn't been posted in like 9 to 10 months. It's like, what are you thinking when you post the next time, that you're covered for the next year? So there's a lot of people coming from a lot of different spaces. And I think to have a money-back guarantee is great, is awesome.
And I should say we do pretty much work exclusively with mid to enterprise stuff, but we did just recently, it's a small division still. We do have a small business division, but it's a little bit less customized. Basically, they get all of their all of their online presence. We'll do for the same price all together. We'll do we'll redo their website. We'll do all their digital marketing and their SEO. And it's basically the very basics of each one of our packages put into a monthly cost. It's $1,000 a month for small businesses. If they pay for the year up front, they get a discount, but it's $1,000 a month or $10,000 a year. And they get their website, they get a basic level of Facebook ads and a basic level of SEO.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Tell me about what did you do prior to starting True Zenith Creative? I mean,
I was a freelance web developer, so I have a really strong profile on Upwork and stuff. So I was doing Upwork. Do you know what Upwork is?
I don't know.
Do you know what Fiverr is? It's very similar to Fiverr, except it's more geared towards professionals. And so I was a freelancer. So I got jobs through Upwork. I also cold called small businesses, and I just built basic websites by myself. And then I realized the reason I could never get past, like the most I ever made was like $5,500 in a month. And the reason I could never get past that, and now I've done over $80,000 in a month with True Zenith. And so the reason I could never get past 5,500 was because I would sell something and I'd have to do the work. And by the way, I can do it, but like I am not an amazing web developer myself, right? Like I am not the greatest web developer in the world at all. Some of the people I hire now are, but I'm not. Yep. So my problem was I was like, well, I can't get past this because I sell something that I have to do the work. So I was like, why don't I just focus on sales and hire people? And so that's how it started. And the first month I did that, I went from the month before I did 2,200, and then the month I started focusing only on sales, I did 17,900.
Wow.
And then I just went up since there.
That's cool. Were you always in business for yourself? In your career?
Yeah, I started selling cookies door to door when I was 9.
So it's in your blood. Love it. Well, and we love talking about that because there's a lot of people on this, listening right now, Jack, that are like, they're in corporate America, but they wish they were not. And they feel like that's such a huge jump, and to hear somebody like you say, I did 2,200 in a month. I mean, some people can't live on 2,200 a month. So what do I do? Right. It depends on where you're at in the world, but
it depends on your necessity for security. I've been homeless before and stuff, so I have no fear of what's the worst that's going to happen, right? Like, I'm in this day and age, you're always going to have food to eat.
Yep. So, wow, that's so cool. Hey, as we start to land the plane today, Jack, I want to ask you a question. What would your tip of the week be for somebody listening right now? Could be something we talked about, maybe it's something else, but somebody's listening that is understanding what we're talking about, but maybe fearful to jump in, might be skeptical of a money back guarantee. So what tip would you have for somebody listening?
I'm going to give you 2 separate tips. One is going to be for someone to do it themselves, and one is going to be a tip of certain questions to ask when hiring an agency or a freelancer.
Perfect.
If you don't want to hire someone, you're going to do it yourself. Almost everyone who's ever even started to try to build a website themselves has heard of Google Analytics. but there's a second portion to Google Analytics that you need, and it's Google Tag Manager. So go on YouTube and search in Google Tag Manager tutorial. You have to have Google Analytics to use Tag Manager. But what it will allow you to do is to track the movement of like everything that's happening on your page. Instead of just seeing who comes to your page and how long they stay, which is what Google Analytics do, now I can see which button did they click, how long did their mouse hover in this one position, a whole bunch more data, right? So if you're going to do it yourself, look into Google Tag Manager. There's plenty of free tutorials to learn how to do it. If you're going to hire an agency, which I highly recommend, because unless you have no money, you're a brand new business owner, then obviously you can't, you have to yourself. But if you're an established business owner, we all know that the smartest thing you can do is hire people smarter than you to do the things you're weak at, right? So if you're going to hire someone, I always am a believer in hiring an agency over a freelancer. It's going to cost you more, but you know for sure it's going to get done correctly, especially if they're a well-established agency with reviews and everything.
Sure.
You know for sure it's going to get done. And if something goes horribly awry, you know you're not going to have to go through, you're not going to, what are you going to, you're not going to go sue a freelancer. But with an agency, if they're doing like, if they're an established agency, you actually do have some things that you can do to get your money back if something does happen. Because unfortunately in the space, there are some bad companies and bad freelancers that are just out there to not, I don't want to say scam, because they do some work, but the reason I started this agency is because of horror stories. That's one of my main cold outreaches. Like, have you had a nightmare experience with the marketing agency?
Yeah.
So do your due diligence. If you can, talk to the owner, right? Can the owner speak to, like, can he give you technical advice? Like, does he actually sound like he knows, or he or she knows marketing? Try to talk to them and hire an agency, not a freelancer.
Wow, that's great. I mean, yeah, we've all had the freelancer horror stories. I had a client that had their first website designer lived in their parents' basement and then went rogue and went missing and took all the passwords. And that's, I think, the problem here. It's not like they just took my wallet, you know, they then took all the passwords, they took all the stuff, right? That accompanied that. So if it was just one issue, that's one thing, but it seemed like it lasted months and months to try and recuperate.
Well, and that's the other thing too, like with an agency, like every client gets a contract and everything. So it's all done with contracts. And so all our clients own their own website. So if they wanted to be, you know, fuck you guys, I don't want to work with you anymore, they still own their website, they own their domain name, they get all of that stuff. Because no, I don't want to deal with it. Like, if a client's not happy, no problem, take it. Because if a client isn't happy, it's just a bigger headache for us. So yeah.
Do they own all the rights to every, I mean, like, because
in 95% of cases for our clients, yes, there's a caveat to that. There are certain software that we're currently developing, and there's NDAs in place, so I can't tell you exactly what, but it's basically it will be a competitor to Airbnb. And they wanted, so in order for us, like, our development fee for that app is 250 grand if they want to own everything. But they gave us, we're keeping proprietary rights and we're licensing them to use it afterwards. And so we dropped the price down by quite a bit.
Gotcha. But generally speaking, the guy who...
Generally speaking, they own everything. Yep. Okay. So all our clients, like if it's just web development, they own their domain name, they own the website, they own the pictures, all the content that we create for them is owned by the client.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cool. Well, this has been so helpful. I took a bunch of notes and now I got to figure out how to have an online goal. For the people listening, Jack, that are in the same spot as I am, that want to learn more about this and learn more from you, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Me directly, my email is simple. It's jack@truezenithcreative.com. My phone number is, if you want to call me, is 512-582-71. Why did I show up? 71. Holy shit. I'm sorry.
When's the last time you called yourself, right?
I never forget my phone number. It's on my email signature. 512-582-7279. Excuse me.
No worries. No worries.
Wow,
that's all good.
That was weird. I might need to go to the doctor. I've never forgotten
you're
my number
good.
in my life.
And hopefully, and hopefully for people listening that you found, you know, there was some takeaway here. There's something here. I mean, my gosh, there's, you know, this can be your only time that a prospect sees you. So hopefully you're putting your best foot forward in your website and things like that.
It's huge. In this day and age, everyone's Googling and trying to find a business. And here's a tip. if you don't have a Google My Business profile, like a Google Maps profile, do that. It's a free and it will get you leads. Like if you have no money, that's the best thing you can do is get a Google Maps, Google My Business profile. Yeah.
Perfect.
And the other thing, if anyone reaches out to me, just so you know our sales style, I'm not high pressure. I only want to work with people who want to work with me. So basically my version of sales is we get on a Google Meet like this and we have a conversation and I can tell you how we can help. I tell you what the cost is. And if you want to do it, cool. If not, you know, no hard feelings. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Super cool. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing all this information, man. We hit the ground running. We landed quick, but there was a ton of great information. And so again, for those listening, if you don't have an online goal, you know, Jack and I challenge you to get one. And if you're struggling with that and need help, please reach out to Jack. He gave you his email address. He gave you his phone number once he remembered it. So it's a little early to be drinking. So, but maybe, you know what, you're in Mexico. So I totally get that there might have been a margarita.
I'm not, I promise I have not had, here's the problem. I'm turning 30 in a couple months and I think I'm getting old. My hair's
Oh my gosh. Dude, that was 100 years ago for me, my friend. So that you can't even use age as an excuse.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for jumping on. Thank you for helping us along this complicated journey online, but hopefully we simplified it enough for you listening today. And again, I just want to encourage you, reach out to Jack, find him on LinkedIn, find him, you know, on his website, find him on his mobile phone, but please just reach out and have a discussion, ask your questions, and he'll do a great job for you. And thanks again for jumping on today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Dave.